This is Michael Popok with a breaking news Legal AF update on the Trump trial. No, the selection of all 12 jurors and 6 alternates has not stopped Donald Trump's efforts to stop the trial from starting on Monday morning with opening statements. Now, Donald Trump has filed his 12th attempt to try to delay the case and stay the case now with the appellate division, First Department, which is the appellate bosses over Judge Merchan, with yet another application. This is now the 4th attempt in the last week and a half, the 11th overall. He's been rejected every time. And now the new grounds are, which are just old grounds being dressed up to look like new grounds, is that Donald Trump, according to his application for emergency relief for a stay, can't pick a fair jury in Manhattan. He already filed a motion to change venue and to have that decided by the full appellate court, arguing that because of his own bad publicity, churned up by Donald Trump himself, he can't get a fair trial in New York, which is a complete lie. First of all, we just went through 4 days of jury selection, starting with 500 potential jurors, bringing them down 96 at a time in tranches. And from the 96 at a time, they finally winnowed it down to 12 in the box. Some were dismissed. Some were dismissed by the judge. I mean, the judge got rid of about 96 or so over 2 days just because they said they couldn't be fair and impartial. And then both sides worked on the background checks for all of these potential jurors and their social media, and they brought it to the judge's attention, and they interviewed each of the jurors with the normal voir dire process. They did another round of interviews where it was necessary, led by the judge, and they finally got to 12. They dismissed a couple that were originally selected, one because he lied about not having been arrested in the past and prosecuted by the Manhattan DA's office, so he got bounced, and one person who believes their identity was compromised, one juror, and she felt she couldn't be fair and impartial anymore, so she got bounced. But they've all been replaced. The very fact that we've been able to report, 10 times a day on Legal AF and on the MeidasTouch network about the fair and impartial, proper logistics of this jury selection process tells you that there is a fair and impartial jury that is in the box right now, made up of, from what I can tell, from a 5,000-foot level, practicing trial law in New York, knowing the different neighborhoods and descriptions of these people, which I won't go over here. This is a group that's comprised mainly of Democrats with a few Republicans and some independents, a well-balanced group, mainly a professional class, a lot of college-educated people. We got 2 lawyers. We got 2 people in financial services. We got 7 men and 5 women. We have a fair and impartial jury. But Donald Trump just filed this emergency application. I'm going to read from it in a minute, under the criminal procedure law, what we call in New York CPL 230.30. And let me read to you first 230.30, number 1, which is the grounds. At any time when a timely motion, hold that thought, put a pin in that, a timely motion for removal of an action or for change of venue may be made, pursuant to 230.20, a justice holding a term of the Supreme Court or a justice of the appellate division, this is the appellate court that they've gone to, upon application and for good cause shown, I'm going to read to you what the cause is in a minute, the alleged cause, order that the trial of such indictment be stayed for a designated period not to exceed 30 days to allow the applicant to move for the removal to another jurisdiction, in other words, outside of Manhattan. Now, Donald Trump has already done this. He's already argued before trial that he couldn't get a fair trial in New York. And as examples of where he can get a fair trial, he's already had fair trials in New York. He had 2 years ago, 2 of his companies criminally prosecuted by the Manhattan DA. We had a 12-person jury then with alternates, fair and impartial, convicted Donald Trump's company 17 on all 17 counts of criminal tax evasion and business record fraud. Donald Trump himself was tried in 2 recent federal cases in New York, pulling from primarily the same jury pool, in this case from Manhattan, and was able to get 2 juries, 9 apiece in civil court, on the E. Jean Carroll rape, punitive damages, and defamation case. She's got 3 trials alone in the last 2 years where completely puts a lie to Donald Trump's argument that he can't get a fair trial. Now, let's continue with this by reading from the application. The good news about New York practice, where I practice, is that you use a form. It's usually called a Bloomberg form. It used to be printed by a company called Bloomberg. You rip off a Bloomberg form. We used to rip it off from pads. That's how long ago this was, in triplicate, with like a yellow and a pink copy and a white copy. Today, you do an electronic version of that. And you fill it out. It's one page, right? There's more complex grocery lists than what they use in New York for asking for this kind of relief to try to get an emergency duty judge sometime over the weekend down at the appellate division in Manhattan off of Madison Park to grant this relief. But let me just read to you what it is. In this, and we'll put it up on the screen, it says this is a motion for an order directing that the indictment be removed from New York pursuant to 230.20 of the Criminal Procedure Law. And then this application is for a stay of the proceedings, meaning we don't want to start trial on Monday with the opening statements pursuant to 230.301, which I read you, which requires a timely motion and good faith reason. This is not that timely, given that this case has been going on for 2 years, and the jury selection process is now concluded. And let me just mention this, the lawyers for Donald Trump accepted the jury. They've accepted the jury. They're going to be sworn in on Monday. They participated in the process. They used their 10 peremptory challenges. They brought up their 4 cause challenges. They went and participated in this process. I see that as a waiver of this argument, let alone not being in good faith. And this is their argument. This is their entire grounds. It takes up about less than 20 words. A fair and impartial jury cannot be selected in New York County, which is Manhattan, as evidenced by the extreme difficulty in procuring a veneer, that's a jury panel, resulting from the significant bias against President Trump that permeates the jury pool. That is ridiculous. First of all, we got rid of all the people that said they couldn't be fair and impartial. You're not entitled to a juror that you want or a juror that's MAGA. You are entitled to a jury that's fair and impartial. And Republicans can be fair and impartial, and Democrats and communists and socialists and independents and people who aren't political. That's the way our system works. Doesn't mean you can't be fair and impartial. And he went, as I said, he went through that process. And what bias was exhibited? There were plenty of people that said they're pro-Trump, including some that are on the jury. One guy said he watched The Apprentice since he was in middle school and read Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. Another person said she likes the straight talking of Donald Trump, and that he's better than the current occupant of the White House. So, to say that, I didn't get everybody wearing a MAGA hat that I wanted. I mean, you're in Manhattan. That's probably not going to happen anyway. 85% of Manhattan voted for, and New York City voted for Joe Biden. This is overwhelmingly the bluest of blue urban centers in America. So he has no, we'll see the filing. He'll have to do a filing off this. But really, this is going to be rejected off of this application. It's bad faith. It's not properly. It's bad timing. It wasn't brought at the appropriate time. It's already substantively been rejected by a prior appellate division judge about a week ago, almost on the same grounds of, we have to move. Before they said, we have to move because we can't get a fair trial because the jury's against us. Now they're saying, the jury's against us. We can't get a fair trial. We have to move. It's the exact same thing. And it's already been rejected. And if they think another appellate judge, like, I don't know, Justice Friedman, who helped them out a couple of times, is going to rule in their favor, they are mistaken. So this I expect, and what they're looking for is that relief, right? A 30-day to allow them to fully brief before the appellate division, the full panel. Here's how it works in New York. Randomly selected from the pool of justices that sit on the appellate division first department, which is the appellate division intermediary that sits in Manhattan above the Manhattan court, civil and criminal. Top court, New York, Court of Appeals. The random group has not yet been comprised. It's run by the presiding justice, the chief justice, if you will, in New York is Justice Renwick. She's married to a judge like Judge Merchan in the Bronx, who is a Supreme Court trial court level judge. Very well respected. She was recently elevated by Governor Hochul to serve in that role. Justice Renwick will likely be on the panel that will ultimately decide this change of venue, but they have They haven't even called it up. They haven't even put their panel together, set briefing schedules. They don't care about this. And the appellate division is going to rule by not ruling, if you get my drift. They don't find anything interesting about Donald Trump's attempts for the 11th time overall and now the 4th time in the last week and a half to try to delay the inevitable, which is the trial of his case, especially now that we're down to just hours before Monday's opening statement. Look, the lawyers already have their work cut out for them on both sides. Let me talk to you from a trial level standpoint. The prosecutors and the defense don't know yet which of the former bad behavior of Donald Trump are going to be allowed to be used against him in cross-examination if he takes the stand. The hearing was held on Friday, but the judge is going to tell them before opening statements what he's going to allow in. Now, they're not going to commit on the Trump side to put Donald Trump up to testify in their opening statements. I'd be shocked if they told the jury Donald Trump is definitely testifying. So that won't really matter. So whatever they're working on for their opening statements, they really can polish up over the weekend, ready to go. I expect an hour and a half or so for the prosecution. Similarly, maybe a little bit shorter for Trump. And then, prosecution calls its first witness. Now, as I previously reported, the other side's got their work cut out for them because they've been so ridiculous and unprofessional in court, and Donald Trump continues to bash witnesses that they are not getting on the Trump side the courtesy of knowing who the first couple of witnesses are. So they don't know who it's going to be. They could probably suspect, but they don't know who witness number one in the afternoon of Monday or so, or Tuesday, is going to be. Is it Michael Cohen? Is it Hope Hicks, former press secretary? Is it David Pecker for the National Enquirer? Which one is it? So they got to prepare for all of them, because they forfeited the courtesy of getting that. So that's what's going on here. That's what people should be focused on, is this prep. Not having to now run down, even if they get an audience, with the emergency duty judge at the justice level. I don't even know who that is today, who got the application and now has to rule on it. Now, she or he can just strike it off and say denied. Just as short as this was, the order denying it could be even shorter. We've seen that time and time again. I expect that today or tomorrow. Or they can call an emergency hearing, call everybody down to the courthouse off of Madison Park, the First Department's courthouse. I'm a member of the First Department. I got sworn in there. I like that courthouse. Put them in the chambers, bring everybody in with a court reporter, boom. And we have the prosecutors on one side, we got Donald Trump on the other, and she listens or he listens and makes a ruling, but doesn't have to have a hearing. So we'll continue to report. Tune in here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF, and we'll give you the update as we go forward. And then join us this weekend. Join us today on Legal AF at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on our YouTube channel, and on Wednesdays and Saturdays, which is the